That's where it ends. So that is when their parents died. God. So sorry, Inigo. So sorry. Now the whole In Search of a Champion. Volume 1 by Langley Longseer. Dreams. Ever since I was a child, I've had the gift of foresight. At the age of 6, I awoke from a dream in which I saw our cattle being slaughtered by a group of monstrous beasts, all slashing claws and ripping teeth. I could smell the thick, metallic stench of blood as I awoke screaming. My father let me outside to prove that the livestock were safe. They were all there at the bottom of the field, alive and well. We went back indoors. I was first over reassured and then tucked back into bed. That is some hefty nightmare stuff. Early one morning, about a week later, my father found our whole herd slaughtered. They had been killed by a pack of giant wolves. The entire field was red with cow's blood. I soon learned to listen to my dreams, and for many years, my gift has served me well. Specifics are often frustratingly hazy, but if I have a vision, it almost always comes to pass, unless I somehow intervene. I've had countless visions over the years, but there is one that has outlasted all the rest. Since I was a young man, my sleep has been plagued by a persistent nightmarish apparition. I've named this being the Doomstrider, because in all my dreams it brings anguish, grief, and pain wherever it walks. I have decided to dedicate my life to finding the one person my dreams tell me can vanquish this great evil. The Doomstrider. In my dreams, a hateful, shadowy figure strides through our lands, casting all asunder. I see Tamriel transformed to a tortured ruin. I see thousands of innocent lives destroyed. I hear screams of agony, the weeping of children, and the hopeless prayer to gods that can no longer intervene. This is not a mere nightmare, it is a vision. How long do we have before this thing, this agent of annihilation, appears? I know not. All I know is that there is one who can help us. There is still hope. The Champion. In my dreams, I see a champion unlike any other. A Khajiit that should not be. He escaped death in his first year and has been successfully eluding it ever since. He is bold and fierce, but also kind and loyal. Like all Khajiit, his appearance was decided by the moons at his birth, but he is the product of an extremely rare celestial alignment. The heavens have gifted him bluish fur, great strength, sharp eyes, and according to my visions, the power to destroy the Doomstrider. I must find the champion before it is too late. Progress. The dreams are more frequent than ever, but I think I'm making progress. I procured a traveler's journal that may describe our champion's place of birth. In the Khajiit homeland, there is a tiny village, completely cut off from the modern world. The birth of a blue Khajiit is significant in their folklore. Every 200 years or so, a child is born who turns blue a few weeks after birth. The appearance of a blue baby is seen as a bad moon omen, and these bloodthirsty zealots sacrifice the infant as soon as they get their first blue hair. I can only assume that the champion in my vision somehow escaped his fate. Maybe he was smuggled away by a family member. I'll travel to elsewhere and visit every settlement in the vicinity of the village. Maybe I'll get lucky. Our hero has a name. Inigo. His name is Inigo. After many months of travel, my search has led me to the town of Riverhold. Apparently, there was a blue Khajiit here, but he left to seek his fortune years ago. He and his brother were abandoned at the orphanage and later adopted by a local couple. This all happened in a long time ago. Inigo and his brother are likely grown men by now. Alas, his parents recently left town with a trading caravan. I must speak with them. I'll follow their trail and see if they know where their son is. From what I've heard, his foster parents are strange but pleasant people. I'm sure they'll help me if they can. Inigo's brother is called Fergus, and Inigo's mother is called Leah. Oddly, his father is Argonian. His name is Da Vinci. A tragedy. I found a trading caravan this morning among a litter of corpses. It has been ransacked. Everyone is dead. Damned bandits! The filthy thieves paid a price though. At least 16 of their number were killed in the attack. I wept when I found Leah and Da Vinci. They died holding hands, heads resting brow to brow. Poor Inigo and Fergus don't yet know the tragedy that has befallen them. At least they have each other. I found Da Vinci's journal by the side of the road. Its pages hold so much love for his wife and sons. I will find a quiet spot, dig a grave, and lay the valiant couple to rest, away from the crows and rats. May they find peace and joy in the afterlife, and may they hold hands for eternity. God. Inigo is the one. I am certain Inigo is the champion I have dreamed of. I returned to Riverhold and passed on the news about Leah and Da Vinci. The townsfolk were both saddened and shocked. They have no idea where Fergus and Inigo are, but the word has been sent through what contacts exist in the hope they will be found. Since returning here and telling the tale of how I discovered and buried their parents, the locals have been more forthcoming with tales of Inigo's past. It seems he and his brother became heroes here in their teens. The town was overrun by a swarm of migrating giant spiders, and 3 people died. When everyone else cowered in their homes, the boys and their parents ended the rather nasty insect infestation with ease. Da Vinci's journals back it up. People say that it was Inigo that led the charge, and that he killed 15 of the beasts by himself, laughing all the while. I can't wait to meet him. All I know is that he and Fergus were headed to Cyrodiil. Maybe I'll strike out in that direction and try my luck. In Search of a Champion, Volume 2, by Langley Longseer. Inigo and Blowaft. I just stopped in a little village on the border, and it seems that the brothers came through this way a few years ago. Inigo and Fergus are making a name for themselves. It seems that for quite some time the village had been terrorized by a giant known by the locals as Blowaft the Flatulent. For reasons you can imagine. Inigo and Fergus heard about this while renting a room for the night. Apparently a patron heard them talking. Inigo said, "I've never seen a giant before," and then Fergus replied, "We'll deal with it tomorrow, it's late." Inigo said, "Go get your beauty rest then, I'll take care of the giant." Fergus nodded and said, "Fair enough, yell if you need me." Then Inigo patted his brother on the shoulder and walked out. Fergus downed his ale and went to bed. An hour or so passed, and then Inigo staggered in, dragging something heavy. He was grinning ear to ear. "I've brought you a souvenir, barkeep." He heaved the giant's club onto the bar. Everyone gasped. "He's only slightly less smelly dead, so I'd bury him first thing in the morning if I were you," said Inigo. Everyone cheered and laughed, and the innkeeper mounted the club above the bar. After a lot of negotiation, I managed to convince him to sell me the club. It's wonderful to have something he touched. It makes me feel closer to him somehow. He killed his first giant single-handed. Inigo and Vahruk are obviously as tough as they come. Inigo and the Witches of Glenmore. I followed the lead to the town of Anvil, where I have discovered more evidence of the brothers and their daring deeds. Apparently they passed through here a year ago and ended the lives of a group of treacherous hags that had been seducing the local men and then sacrificing them. Inigo and Fergus rescued a man from the witch's table, and he was quite happy to tell me his tale. He said that 2 Khajiit men, one broad and golden, the other wiry and bluish purple, snuck into the cave where he was being held. The hags were in a high tent at the far end of the cave, noisily preparing a beastly incantation of some sort. The golden Khajiit, Vahruk I assume, crept to the far end of the tent, swords in hand. Inigo readied his bow and waited in the shadows. Vahruk raised a hand to Inigo, and Inigo nodded, and then loosed an arrow. It tore a hole in the tent, and there was a horrible scream from within. A witch ran out wielding a dagger, and Fergus decapitated her and called out, "Join us, ladies! You have 2 new suitors here. We are ready to take you out." There was a lot of angry yelling from within the tent, and then the witches burst out, spewing fire and ice from their hands. The poor man, strapped to a sacrificial table, watched in terror as a mighty battle began. He saw Fergus take the heads of 2 more witches, and then raised his shield as a massive gout of flame erupted from the hands of the third. Inigo put an arrow through the hag's eye as his brother's shield disintegrated. Fergus tossed the melting hunk of metal away and ducked as Inigo shot a witch behind him. Apparently the brothers fought as if they had one mind. The man said it was like watching a beautiful dance, but with more screaming and blood. Soon the Witches of Glenmore all lay dead, and the brothers laughed and hugged. True fighters. They freed the man, looted the cave, and went on their way. After hearing this story, I ventured to the cave where it all took place, and found the remains of the witches. I took their heads, yet more evidence that Inigo is indeed real and the champion I seek. Inigo and Bro Wolf the Broad. I'm so close. I just received another Inigo artifact for my growing collection, the helm of a barbarian called Bro Wolf the Broad. My continued search for Inigo and Fergus has led me north to a small unmarked settlement in the mountains that border Skyrim. The brothers were here 2 months ago. This Bro Wolf character had been in charge for a year. He was fierce and mighty and utterly insane. He and his crew enslaved the locals and forced them to dig a mine. He was convinced that the village lay on an ebony deposit. He had the man and woman serve him in 1,000 horrid ways when they were not digging. They say that one day a local boy tripped while bringing Bro Wolf a cup of meat. The brute reached out his slab-like arms and ripped the poor boy's head from his shoulders. One day, 2 Khajiit warriors came to town. They were greeted by one of Bro Wolf's men at the gate. On seeing Inigo's unusual coloring, the thug laughed, jeered and pointed. Fergus drew his sword in a blur and amputated the man's leg in a flash. "Next time you mock my brother, I'll remove your head. Do we have an understanding?" said Fergus. The man nodded, wept and whimpered as the remains of his legs spurted blood onto the snow. Inigo stepped forward into the village. "We have heard tales of the great misery you bullies have inflicted on the rightful owners of this land," he shouted. "Run and live or stand and die." A group of Bro Wolf's men drew their swords but did not advance. They obviously liked their legs. Bro Wolf heard the commotion and stepped out of his hut. He was tall and possessed the bulky breadth of a giant. His legs and arms were like tree trunks. His chest was like a brewery barrel, and his head was the size of a cooking pot. "What's all this? Everyone get back to work," he yelled. The locals all dropped their heads and hurried away. Fergus spoke up. "I am guessing you are the reason the people here scurry like mice." Bro Wolf laughed. "Yes, and you better scurry back to the way you came, little kitty, unless you want to work my mind for the rest." Inigo drew his bow and addressed the retreating townsfolk. "Worry not, good people. This smelly pile of dung is about to give his last order." Bro Wolf's face turned red with rage. "Kill them!" he shouted. Fergus readied his sword and yelled, "If you have no affiliation with this brute, get indoors. We have no quarrel with you." People ran and doors slammed. Frightened faces peered through windows, and Bro Wolf's men advanced. There were at least 20, but after Inigo and Fergus made short work of the first 10, the rest fled. Bro Wolf was furious and rushed at the brothers, wielding a massive axe. Fergus rolled out of the way, and Inigo put an arrow into the huge man's helm. This normally would have ended things, but Bro Wolf was as solid as a rock, and he kept coming. Fergus slashed at the huge man's arms and legs, but no wound went deep. There was just too much bone and muscle in the way. Inigo advanced, aiming for the eyes, but The barbarian kept his head down as he fought Fergus, and he only succeeded in peppering Beowulf's helm with arrows. A massive hand shot out and took Fergus by the throat. It lifted him off the ground and squeezed. Inigo dropped his bow, drew his sword, and ran to his brother's aid. With flagging strength, Fergus drove his blade into the crook of Beowulf's neck. Inigo ducked a flailing axe blow, jumped on the brute's back, and stabbed his sword under Beowulf's jaw. Suddenly, Fergus was free. Beowulf dropped his axe and fell to one knee. His gigantic hands groped for the two blades that now pierced his neck. Fergus rushed forward again and grabbed the hilt of his sword. In perfect unison, Inigo and Fergus withdrew their swords and swung them in opposite arcs. The blades rose, winked briefly in the sunlight, and then hurtled down again. They collided at the point where Beowulf's massive head met his massive neck, cleaving the two asunder. The brothers fell back into the snow, panting and laughing. The villagers rejoiced. They were finally free from tyranny. Inigo and Fergus set off south some time later. I have Beowulf's helm beside me as I write this. It cost a pretty penny, but it was worth it. I'll continue my travels tomorrow. It looks like I'm going south. I am a murderer. I met a farmer on the road to Skingrad yesterday. When I asked if he had seen a couple of warrior Khajiit recently, he laughed and said, "We took care of those thieving cutthroats a few days ago." Shocked, I asked him to explain. He said that two Khajiit men had been stealing from the local farms and villages for weeks. After finding their camp, the farmers and a group of his mates crept up and attacked the thieves in their sleep, using muffle scrolls they brought in town. He said they killed one, but the other got away. Doubt he'll be showing his face around here again. I explained that the Khajiit men I was looking for were not thieves. He said, "All Khajiits are thieves." Distressed, I asked the farmer to show me the camp. I found Fergus, death and gore-streaked, under a collapsed and torn tent. I knew it was him instantly. He looked vital, dynamic and regal, despite the dried blood clinging through his golden fur. I have never felt such outrage, pain and sadness. The farmer clearly saw a chance come over me and stepped back. "You fool!" I shouted. "This man was a hero, both noble and brave. He was no thief. By the gods, what have you done?" The farmer took a step back. "He was a filthy Khajiit, nothing more." I felt my sadness turn to anger. Tears blurred my vision as I glared at the fool. He took another step back. "He was a scoundrel and a thief, good for nothing. No use getting upset." Before I knew what I was doing, my hands had taken charge and I engulfed the farmer in a torrent of flame. I watched him burn and scream as flame leapt from my palms. I have never before now used magic against a person. I still feel sick. Fergus deserved better than to die at the hands of a group of witless, racist inbreds. I would have immolated every last one of them if they had been standing before me at that moment. I cleared the ragged remains of the tent away and knelt by Fergus. I held his cold, golden hand. "You saved Inigo, didn't you?" I whispered. "Where did he go, Fergus?" I dug a grave nearby and laid the brave warrior to rest. I looked around for his sword, but it was gone, probably taken by one of his killers. There was no sign of Inigo anywhere. At least he survived the attack. I only hope his grief has not led him astray. I must find him soon. I will stay at the camp tonight and see if I'm visited by a new vision. Oh, Inigo, you are not as alone as you feel. Nothing. It has been years since I found Fergus, and I am no closer to locating Inigo. It is as if he dropped off the map. My visions of the Doomstrider are less frequent, so perhaps the death of Fergus somehow changed our destiny. I know not. I have settled back in Skyrim for now. I have paid a small group of adventurers to seek out and acquire any artifacts and information relating to Inigo. So far, none have returned. I have also employed the services of a powerful conjuration mage. He is hard at work in the Imperial City, trying to create a summon spell that will hopefully teleport Inigo straight to me when cast. The mage assures me such a spell is possible, but will only work if the caster is a true friend of the summoned individual. I told him that I am the only true friend Inigo has left. Unfortunately, the incantation will take some time to prepare. A nightmare. I had a horrific dream last night. Inigo was trapped in a vast, dark chamber. He was bleeding badly and surrounded by Draugr. He fought them off and fled up a spiral staircase, but there was someone else there. A wizard? Who wasn't quite as lucky. Where did the dream take place? It looked like Skyrim, but I can't be sure. Damn it, I need that spell! Wait. He was bleeding badly, surrounded by Draugr, fought them off and fled up a spiral staircase, but there was someone else there, a wizard, who wasn't quite as lucky. Is he talking about me? That could be me and Inigo in the tomb. Hope. Thank the gods. Inigo is indeed still alive. In my latest dream, I saw him leaving Windhelm, carrying a dragonfly in a jar. He looked tired and wrecked, but he's out there somewhere. With age, his fur has begun to take on rather mauve blue. Time changes us all, I suppose. When I started this book, I had a thick head of black hair, and I saw Inigo save a farmer from a frost troll. The farmer thanked him and offered him gold, but Inigo ignored the gesture and plodded away. Where is he heading? My vision ended shortly after he reached a fork in the road. Did he travel towards Riften or Whiterun? I set out in search of him immediately if the summon spell wasn't due any day now. Blast! Swindler. The spell has arrived today, and it is worthless. I have tried reading the tome 100 times, and it does nothing. Well, not quite nothing. It vibrates gently, then slams shut. That conjuration mage is a swindling con artist, and I want my money back. I will keep trying nonetheless. Perhaps I can force it to work somehow. By the gods, that charlatan is going to pay. I may not know much about conjuration, but I can kick a fellow in the crotch as well as the next man. How wrong you were, Langley. How wrong you were. Anyway. Inigo, you might have lost your parents. You might have lost your brother. But you still got your friend. I'll always be there for you, Inigo. I'll always be by your side. Always.
Shall we take a seat or are we leaving?
I think it's about time we head back to the college. So follow me and we'll be heading off.
I'm right behind you.
Let's go. We have a lot left to learn.
As long as it keeps
And so ends the first chapter of my story, although it is far from over. However, I am an old man these days, and even the Dragonborn needs his rest. Feel free to stay around or head back down the mountain and begin your descent of the 7,000 steps. But before you leave, thank you. I truly enjoyed your company and having the ability to share my wisdom with someone like you. Learn from my mistakes and let my words be of use in your own adventures. When you return back to my cave, I'm sure another story is waiting for you, traveler. I have a lot more to teach you. Thank you for listening to my tale, young one, and may the wind guide you.